Remember, as a legal matter, it still has to be reasonably foreseeable. James Crumbley faces up to 15 years if convicted. Back with us, Chris Hansen, host of Predators I've Caught podcast. Liz Farrell, the co-host of the True Sunlight podcast, and Jesse Weber, anchor for the Law and Crime Network. Chris, you've been following this case closely. You think that this case, he's got a better defense, worse defense than the mom had?
I think he's got a worse defense. The only difference that I can see that shades him in a better light is that they can't use some of the text messages that they used in the mom's case.
The text messages that Ethan sent to his mom, right?
Where she says, don't do it, don't do it.
Right.
And he says, I'm going off the deep end. The problem for the dad is he bought the gun. He bought a lock. It never was taken out of the package. There was some sort of a safe, and the code was 000. There was absolutely nothing in that household to keep that child, that 15-year-old, from taking the gun and doing what he did.
But, Liz, there is an advantage in going second, right? In that James Crumbley's defense team can now look at what worked and what didn't work in the first case, try to use what didn't work. Because it sounds like in the first case that they were basically trying to say she's a good mom. Right? She was doing Here, they're basically saying, no, we're not claiming he was a good dad, right?
Right, and I honestly don't see how that helps them, because to me that makes it worse. Why are you buying a gun for a kid that you're not a good father of? Because it comes down to accountability, and that's why this case sort of excites me. I hope there's a conviction, to be honest with you, because I do think it's time that we start talking about, if we can debate gun laws all we want all day long, but this is a very simple thing of keeping your gun locked up, keeping it away from kids. And I think the more people, I think a conviction is going to lead to more people taking that seriously.
And by the way, in her trial, she put the finger on him, that he was more to blame. Didn't really work. He's not going to have that same defense. And I will, coupled with what Chris said, this is a lot about knowledge, right? What did he know about his son? There was an allegation that he told his son, after his son came to him about problems that he was having, suck it up and gave him some pills. The idea that 30 minutes after he finds out about the shooting, he runs home, calls 911 and realizes the gun's not there, realizes his son's the shooter. If you really had no idea your son was capable of this, you reach that conclusion so quickly, that's the part that might be difficult for him.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting. I said this after the conviction in the first case, that every lawyer I talked to would say, oh, it's a tough conviction. Foreseeability. Every non-lawyer was like, of course she's going to get convicted.
Right.
Think about how negligent that they were.
And people want to hold others responsible for these school shootings. I mean, what if he had bought the kid a car? Didn't have a license. The kid found the keys, drove the car, killed 3 kids. It's the same argument.
But it was such uniquely bad facts, particularly what happened on the morning of the shooting, that they're called to the school. They see the disturbing drugs. They don't take him out of school. And speaking of James Crumbley, he was working as a DoorDash delivery driver who sets his own schedule.
Right.
He didn't even technically go back to work. He could have taken the son out.
This kid had the gun in his bag during the meeting with the school officials. The gun is in that bag. What does that tell you?
Thank you for watching. Go to NewsNationNow.com to find News Nation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.